quarterbacks. I've been impressed.
It's a big decision that the Jets have to make. It's all about value.
The opportunity to trade up and get a guy can be a big part of our future.
You got to take risks.
Regardless of where I go, I'll be ready to go.
Coming for your spot, can't nobody stop him.
Well, every NFL draft is defined by the quarterbacks, but maybe never more so than this year with these big 5 quarterbacks we know are going to go somewhere very high in round 1. And so, Tim, once and for all, on the week of the draft, I want you to rank them. In what order would you take these 5 guys if it was you making the decisions?
Well, if I was making the decision, the first one is easy, and the first one is probably pretty much unanimous around the league, and it's Trevor Lawrence as the top prospect. There's so much to like about Trevor. I mean, it's hard to find something that you aren't crazy about in terms of things that he can do. He's an excellent athlete. He's a very developed passer. You love the size, the intelligence, even the leadership stuff. You know, he's checking all boxes. I said if he's not a 10 across the board, he's no worse than an 8. And I think that's one of the reasons why people have him rated in the realm of guys like Andrew Luck. At the number 2 spot for me would be Justin Fields. And I know that we've talked about him quite a bit on this show. He's a guy who I have said has the talent to be a league MVP. I don't think he's anything like some of the other quarterbacks that have come out of Ohio State. When you watch him, his athleticism jumps off the page, and I think he's a way better passer than people have given credit for being. He's another guy I think has excellent leadership qualities. I think he has a chance to be an awesome, awesome pro. Zach Wilson would be my 3rd quarterback. When I look at Zach Wilson, I see a guy that I think has traits that are similar to Jay Cutler. And people can think what they want about Jay Cutler, but the reality is very few people have ever been able to spin a football the way Cutler was able to spin a football. And I think Zach Wilson has talent that is similar to that. Basically can attack all areas of the field. I think he's a developed passer, and I think he's a better than advertised athlete. I think you can really build around him. Trey Lance would be my next guy at number 4. Lance is one of these guys that I think is a true prospect. You're drafting on potential. You know, 1 year at a lower level of competition, plus 1 game. He dominated that level because he was a better athlete than everybody else. But I think you can see evidence of him being able to develop as a passer. So in the right situation, with the right coaching, he could become a star, but I think there's boom or bust qualities there. And then at number 5, a guy that obviously I've been on the record with in Mac Jones. I think he's a good prospect. I've said that I don't think that he's a first rounder. The reason I say it is I just think that he's athletic deficient when you compare him to other guys at the position. That doesn't mean you have to be a tremendous athlete to have success in the NFL, but it does mean that if you're drafting in the first round, I think you want a guy that's checking more boxes than he's not. Look, he's a good decision maker, but he's been surrounded by outstanding talent, and so when he's missed, it hasn't hurt him. And so, look, Mac Jones is accurate, he's smart, he's a good competitive guy, he can play inside the pocket, but I think that his lack of mobility would cause concern for me.
So it's an excellent list. And Mel, let me just come to you quickly on that. I have been following your big board, basically going back to January. Does that basically lines up with the way you view these quarterbacks as well, right? Pretty close to it, at least.
Yeah, I just flipped the Jones and Lance at the end, but up until that point, Tim's right on with mine. I think what I disagree with in terms of the whole Fields thing is that a lot of the people are thinking he's the second best quarterback. A lot of people aren't. Todd McShay and others, Daniel Jeremiah, don't have him anywhere near 2 and have other quarterbacks ahead of him like Trey Lance. So Justin Fields, while Tim and I agree, he's the second quarterback in the draft, and Neek as well. There are a lot of other people that think he's the 4th best quarterback in the draft, 5th best quarterback in this draft. So Justin Fields, I always said it's the Jays. Josh Allen, people were hating on. You think about Justin Herbert last year, people were hating on. And certainly now, Justin Fields. And I don't know if it's a J with the first name, whatever it is, these 3. Now, I will say this. When you go back into history, the following quarterback usually does well. Going way back to 83 with Dan Marino at the end of that first round, 6th quarterback taken. So over the years, if there was one trend that the percentages, and Hembo does all the great stats and look backs, the following quarterback historically has turned out to be pretty doggone good.
Well, it stands to reason because they're going to wind up by and large on better teams. Now, in this case, San Francisco traded up, so maybe that doesn't hold here. But Dominique, I will come to you. Like most people, and Mel is right, not all people, but most people I ask rate Justin Fields as highly as Mel does and as Tim does, and yet it feels like, and Diana just told us, if one of them is going to fall, he's the likeliest one. How do you explain it?
I mean, it all goes back to the 49ers for me. If they've created a lot of this conversation, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. If Mac Jones is your yum and you like pumpkin pie, more power to you. Get pumpkin pie. I personally prefer a more delicious pie and sweet potato. If you like to watch old TV shows like Dallas, go for it. There's much better shows out there like I May Destroy You or Grey's Anatomy or The Crown, or you could even say The Wire. There's much better content out there. But if that's what you want, if every Friday you feel better having watched Dallas, then more power to you. And that's what I feel like is happening in San Francisco is possibly maybe the rest of us see that delicious sweet potato pie and we get excited, but they like pumpkin pie. That don't make them wrong. It just makes them gross. That's all.
That is so well done by Dominique. I feel like I need to take a little aside here for that. The interview that Mel Kiper gave to Steve Serby in yesterday's New York Post, in which he discussed so many of his personal habits, was just fascinating. He does indeed watch an episode of Dallas every Friday night at the time that it was originally on. He watches the Johnny Carson show 5 nights a week at the time that it was originally on. And you eat pumpkin pie for breakfast every single day. That is going to be the area of debate between the two of you, Mel, because Dominique hates pumpkin pie, loves the sweet potato pie.
I like sweet potatoes, but not in a pie. In fact, they've made a mistake. Listen to this. Nick, you'll love this. They mark it, when I go to the store, they would market pumpkin pie. It didn't look quite right, but I'd bring it home and it almost made me say, I can't eat sweet potato pie, and it was mistakenly marked. Pumpkin pie when it was sweet potato pie. They did that several times, and it really irritated the heck out of me. You know what makes me mad? That makes me mad. When I get my fat-free whipped cream ready, and I take the bite, and it tastes like pumpkin pie. What is this? It's sweet potato pie, and it goes in the trash can, never to be eaten again.
Greedy, forget your poll about which quarterback should be taken. The poll should be pumpkin versus sweet potato pie, and who goes with fat-free whipped cream. If you're going in for dessert, you go in for dessert. You don't fat-free the whipped cream.
But it isn't dessert. He has it for breakfast every day.
Yeah. I don't eat the crust on the pie. Don't eat the crust.
What are you doing?
He's just a unique man. By the way, that poll question will go up right now on my Twitter page at ESPN Greeny, so we'll have 2 of them going. Tim will get your vote a little bit later, but I have to mention, because we're running out of time in the hour here, that we got good baseball coming your way tonight on ESPN. We have the first of a 4-game series between Chris Bryant's Cubs and Ronald Acuna Jr.'s Braves. First pitch is scheduled for just after 7 Eastern. That's tonight here on ESPN. Coming up, he was chosen by the Falcons 13 years ago. So why